Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back for another video. Today's video we're going to be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. As we know, earlier this week there was an announcement that Buffy is coming back in a reboot or revival with Hulu. And there's not been really any details about who's being involved other than Sarah Michelle Gellar, the title character of course, but she's not going to have like the focal point of the series. She's going to have a reoccurring role. She's not going to be the star. It's going to be about a new Slayer, considering with the end of the series, even though being 20 years ago, 20 plus at this point, that the whole world is just kind of riddled with new Slayers now. All of the potentials were awakened with the scythe and everything. So it's going to focus on maybe even more than one Slayer. We don't know yet, but we know that Sarah Michelle Gellar is involved in the discussions, and they are just pretty close to ordering an actual pilot, but nothing's 100% just yet. But with that announcement, we now have a statement from Sarah Michelle Gellar herself talking about how this came about, the process that's been involved, the years that have been, with the development of it all, who she's been talking to and whatnot. And I will read the statement as it says here. She goes on to say, "So you might have heard some news this week, but I realize you haven't heard from me. 3 years ago, I got a call from a dear friend and mentor, Gail Berman. She told me that she wanted to sit down with Chloe Zhao to hear her take on a potential Buffy revival. I was blown away that Chloe even knew who I was, but as I've always done, I told Gail that I just didn't see a way for the show to exist again. But we'd always been aligned on that. But this time I heard something different in her voice. I eventually agreed to go mainly just meet Chloe, and our 20-minute coffee quickly turned into a 4-hour adventure. We laughed, we cried, but mostly we just talked about how much the show means to us. While I didn't agree anything at that meeting, I did shock myself by agreeing to continue the conversation. These conversations did, in fact, continue over the next few years. Eventually, we added the incredible Nora and Lila Zuckerman to our little tribe until ultimately, one day, we landed on an idea. We have always listened to the fans and heard your desire to revisit Buffy and her world, but it was just not something I could do unless I was sure that we could get it right. This has been a long process and it's not over yet. I promise you, we will only make this show if we know we can do it right. And I will tell you that we are on the right path there. I feel so lucky to be on this journey with these 4 unbelievably talented women, all of whom love Buffy as much as I do. And as much as you do, thank you for all the fans who never stopped asking for this. This will be for you." So we can see that Sarah Michelle Gellar is attached. She is excited, at least, because for the longest time she didn't want to do it. She didn't think there was a way to revisit Buffy to make it to where they could capture that magic again. And I had to agree because Buffy took place in a time where everything was just so much simpler. We didn't have social media yet. We didn't have the internet to the degree that we do now. We didn't have a lot of things that we do now because it took place in the 90s and early 2000s where things were just so much simpler. And the monsters and everything about that show, where she always said the monsters were about the time in high school where the metaphor just made more sense back then. Whereas today it would just be just so much more complicated with everything that we have in the world now. But she is excited. She is ready to take on this part again. And as I mentioned, they are pretty close to ordering the pilot within Hulu. They probably still have to tie up some loose ends and just probably reach out to people to see who wants to be involved. Although I can imagine, as I mentioned in my announcement video, there's probably at least 1 or 2 characters I don't think they'll be asking to come back, considering just the things that have gone on since Buffy ended with this actor's personal life and everything. But, we have to wonder who's going to be involved because the characters are either too old to play vampires or they were killed off towards the end of the show, or there's just all kinds of variables there in place. Like Eliza Dushku, who played Faith, she has since retired from acting and now she is a therapist, or she's kind of in that therapy setting. So she's left the entertainment industry for various reasons. But it should be interesting to see what they do with it. I'm definitely excited about it, but I am nervous about what could happen with this character and just kind of trying to adapt it to today's world, what the story will really entail, because it's not going to be about Buffy. She's going to be there, but it's going to be about a new Slayer jumping in, trying to bring this world back to life, just considering how the show ended and with everything that was involved with destroying Sunnydale. Giles mentioning that there's another Hellmouth there in Cleveland, and just will he come back? I will kind of be disappointed if he doesn't come back, but he is rather old these days, and I'm not sure exactly how much acting he's really doing anymore. He might have all but retired at this point. But there are a handful of characters I would really love to see back. I would love to see, of course, Giles back. I would love to see Willow back. Xander, kind of 50-50, considering just everything that he's gotten into the last 20 plus years, the trouble he's had with his personal life and his professional life, just not staying out of trouble, being in the news constantly, treating women poorly. I can honestly see, I don't think he'll come back. And, I would love to see Oz come back, but that's kind of, I think, hit or miss too, because, with Oz's character, the way he more so just left there about the 4th season, I believe. And I think he had one more appearance before it was all done and over with. But, there's a handful of characters I would love to see back. Some of them make sense, some of them don't. But with that, I will just leave you. I'm excited for it. I am anxious to see what they do with it, if they can recapture that old magic that the original show had. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed, we finally have a statement from Sarah Michelle Gellar just kind of giving us details about what's going on. But if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. So take care. Bye.